Welcome to the Papa Rockstars podcast with Anya Bohm, where we talk about all things paparazzi, team training, suggestions, interviews with elite leaders, and more, all to help you grow and explode your paparazzi accessories business to rockstar success.
Hello and welcome to the Papa Rockstars podcast. My name is Anya Bohm and I am your show host. Today we're going to be talking about start from where you stand. There are so many things we can be doing in our businesses and our lives, so many pulls on our time, our focus, and our energy. How do you decide what to do and what not to do so everything that needs to get done does? Where do you start when there are so many things that need to get done? Let's talk about that in today's episode. Now, before we get into that, head on over to paparockstars.com. There you can listen to this again, share it with your friends, download all of the resources and the image that we'll talk about in just one second. And all of that is over at paparockstars.com/start for today's episode. Now, that show image that I was just telling you about, it's one of my all-time favorite quotes. It is a checklist being marked and it says, "Better done than perfect." We're going to talk about that a lot more today in the training, but you're welcome to grab that image, share it with your team on your personal timeline, however you'd like to use it in your paparazzi business. So with that, let's jump into today's training. Kids, family, business, there are a lot of things that we need to get done in a day, and a lot of times it can be super overwhelming. I know that there are days when I'd rather crawl back into my nice warm bed and eat a brownie or binge watch Netflix instead of tackling my to-do list. Maybe you feel like you should be further along in your business by now, or you feel the people around you that are succeeding have left you in the dust and you just don't know where to catch up or where to start. Maybe you want to get all your ducks in a line before you start rocking your business. So you're waiting for that perfect live setup or that perfect box of jewelry, the perfect background before you get ready to start. Girl, this episode is for you. I can honestly say I've been where you are. I've struggled with all of these things. Sometimes I still struggle with these things, but I've learned a little trick to move forward, to get moving that I want to share with you. Are you ready? The secret, there is no perfect time, no perfect setup, no perfect day of the week to go live, no magical time when everyone is online to see your posts or your live sale. There is no perfect lighting kit or setup. It's all gravy. These things keep you from getting where you want to go, from moving forward. Your unconscious mind likes to stall, to put things off that it isn't familiar with, things that might be a little scary or unknown. So when you're starting out your business or getting ready for a live show or a home party or an event, your mind is going to come up with all kinds of reasons why you can't or shouldn't. It's trying to protect you from things that might be uncomfortable, trying to protect itself. So it will come up with a million things to distract you, to make you stall out so that you don't have to experience that space outside of your comfort zone. Here's the truth. If you don't get uncomfortable, you don't grow. Things can't get better. You need to get outside of that comfort zone so that you have the opportunity to grow. When I first started doing my live shows regularly, my family was living in a camper trailer. I went live outside on the dirt with some trees behind me. I'm serious here, ladies. The weather started getting colder, so I moved my live setup to my Suburban. That's right, I went live in my car. And when that wasn't working anymore, I found a conference room in an office building and I went live there. There were some times I would drive around with some of my kids in the back of my car looking for a Wi-Fi signal strong enough to support my live show. I'm truly embarrassed by some of my earliest shows. They make me cringe, but I did them. They're done. Like I said with that show image, done is better than perfect. Let me say that again because it is so important. Done is better than perfect. If I'd waited for that perfect time to set up a live, I would have missed out on so many sales and even some team members. Sure, those videos might look a little less than professional, but I would have missed out on so much. So stop making excuses for why you can't and figure out how you can. Now, if you're listening and thinking, I am totally motivated and willing to do whatever I need to, but where do I start? You may be suffering from information overload. Too much to learn, too much to do. So where do I start? Start from where you stand. Do what you can do just to get started. Look at your goals and see what you can do, what will get you there the fastest. Start with one thing a week. And when you've mastered that, add another. And if that looks like going live just one more time a week with 20 pieces of jewelry, do that. When you have that mastered, move to 2 times a week or go live for an hour instead of only 20 minutes. Make a list of things that are priorities in your life. The top 3 things you want to focus on and write down baby steps for that. One of my favorite phrases right now is baby steps is still movement, because a lot of times I want to jump into things with both feet. I try to do everything at once and then I burn myself out. But if I lay out smaller steps and I take time to build up to those bigger things, then it's a lot more doable. For example, with my live sales, I started out showing 5 to 10 pieces of jewelry 2 to 3 times a week. It was all I could handle. My kiddos would fight and yell in the background, and it was really, really stressful. Then as that became more normal, I bumped it up to a 1-hour show 1 time a week, and then 2 times a week. Now those 1-hour shows are now 3-hour shows 3 times a week. Now, did I jump right in and do 3-hour shows a week? No, I had to build up to that. Now, let me just clarify one point here. Do not use my advice on this show to justify less action than you could be taking. I don't want you to think that you can take itty-bitty steps once in a while and that will grow your business by leaps and bounds. That is not how this works. Massive, consistent action is what is going to bring you the big results that you want. What I'm saying is if you are frozen with a deer in the headlights kind of look, or you're feeling that those massive actions are just too much to comprehend and or implement, break it down into smaller, more doable chunks until you can build up to that awesomeness. A classic example is my kiddos and cleaning their rooms. They stand in the doorway looking at the massive pile of toys, games, clothes, blankets, and even some leftover food, and they have no idea where to start. So they don't. They sit there playing with a toy or just staring at the pile or even sometimes at the ceiling. They're frozen by the perception of how much work they need to do, so they never even start. Usually I go in, I put the blanket and the pillow on the bed along with the stuffies, and suddenly the pile is a lot less massive. They're encouraged and they're energized and they start cleaning too. A little action is what was needed to jumpstart that energy and to get them feeling more empowered. The key here is to take action. Grab the thing closest to you and put it away, or grab the nearest piece of jewelry that is close to you right now and post it on Facebook. There is something about taking action that makes a difference. Once you get some energy flowing anywhere, it's a lot easier to keep going. Now let's get a little scientific. Have you ever watched a rocket launch into space? For that tiny capsule to get into space requires a lot, but like a larger rocket and a lot of fuel, like a lot. It's estimated that 90% of the rocket launch fuel is used to get that rocket to break free of the Earth's pull. 90%. That is a lot of fuel to create the necessary speed and thrust to get that rocket moving. Now, Newton's first law of motion is an object in motion tends to stay in motion. So that rocket, once it gets up to a certain speed, will require significantly lower amounts of fuel to keep it going and to keep it moving forward. If that rocket was to slow down or even stop, it would need all that fuel to get going again, to get up off the ground. So as you get going in your business, it's a lot easier to stay going, to keep moving forward, gaining that momentum and increasing that speed. Sometimes life is going to slow you down a bit, but just don't stop, because it is so much easier to speed up if you've just slowed down a little bit instead of starting all over again. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, pick one thing to do and get it done. Even if it takes a day, knock it out. Then tomorrow, knock out another and another task on your to-do list. Soon you will look back and you'll see how much you've done and how far you've gone. Start from where you stand right now so that you can get where you want to be. For resources today, I wanted to share with you one of my favorite books. It is a book that has helped me a lot when it comes to feeling overwhelmed and not knowing where to start. It's a really easy read as well. I downloaded it on an audio version, and the author reads it, which is also really neat to get her insights and perspective. The book is called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. She also has some great YouTube tutorials and trainings to help get you started with that. Thank you so much for listening today. Again, the website to download today's training, to share it, to get that show image we talked about in the beginning is paparockstars.com. Have a rockin' week. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.